In this chapter, we delve into choosing and financing a home, probably the largest purchase anyone makes in their life. Before we address buying a house, let's look at the cost of renting. For some, renting, for the present or in certain circumstances, makes the most sense. If you've decided it is time to buy a home, how do you start that process? The price of the house is not all there is to purchasing a home. There are costs associated with the purchase itself, as well as ongoing maintenance expenses. What if you have a home but are ready to sell it and move up? How do you get your home ready for the market so it'll sell quickly? Sometimes renting makes more sense. It's where most of us start out before we graduate to home ownership. More than that, it's a question of your lifestyle and how you want to spend your time and your money and the trade-offs involved. The basic guidelines for renting or buying are that you should spend no more than 25 to 30% of your take-home pay on housing, or no more than 2.5 times your annual income, the latter usually applying to how much home you can afford. When making the rent versus buy decision, consider your lifestyle. What do you want to spend your money on? How do you want to spend your time? A home needs maintenance. Renting is taken care of by the landlord. The financial factors. Can you afford to buy a home right now? Using the 25 to 30% guideline, is home ownership an option? And mobility. If your job requires frequent moves or even a lot of travel, renting may make more sense. As the slide states, renting is less costly in the short term. Home ownership has the financial advantage long term. This rent versus buy comparison chart is in your book and recaps the factors to consider if renting versus buying is an option. This is the textbook's usual method of explaining a decision process. In this case, housing rental activities. Step 1, the search. Find the area and suitable choices. And step 2, before signing a lease, what you need to know and check out. Step 3, living in the rental property, then restrictions on living in a rental unit. And step 4, when you're ready to move, what do you need to do? So step 1, selecting a rental unit. Could be an apartment, condo, townhouse, or a home. We've covered the pros and cons pretty well, but they are recapped here. This is a fairly long checklist of items to consider when reviewing a rental option. Location may well be the most important item, so it's no surprise it's first. Is the unit near your children's school, your church, your work? Is shopping nearby and convenient? If you use public transportation, is it close? Are recreation opportunities nearby? And I would add, is the area reasonably safe? The second most important aspect may be the financial arrangements. How much is the rent and how long a lease must you sign? How much is the security deposit? What utilities are included and what will you have to pay for? The remaining items are basically cosmetic. Condition of the facility and the unit, layout, room size, doors, windows, locks, etc. When you find the perfect rental unit, comes time to sign a lease. This slide and the following one outline the details on a lease so you'll be prepared. Obviously, the name and address of the landlord, the lessor, your name, the lessee, the effective date and the length of the lease, the amount of the security deposit, the amount of the rent, and when it's due. Continuing the details of a lease, the date when rent is late and the amount of any late fees, detailed list of appliances and utilities included, specific details of any restrictions, number and size of pets, number of people who may live in the unit, whether you have the right to sublet, and any transfer clause should you be transferred for your job. Specifically, when and under what conditions your landlord may enter the unit. All of these are important to understand and have spelled out clearly before you sign what will probably be a year's lease. Renting typically requires 1 month's rent up front as a security deposit. This will be returned at the end of the lease if the unit is in good condition when you vacate. Utilities. Typically, water is included in apartment rent, but not electricity. It's becoming more common for internet and cable to be included as well. When renting a house, expect nothing to be included. Though we haven't gotten to the chapters on insurance yet, we would be remiss not to mention renter's insurance. You should get it. It covers your possessions inside the unit, not the structure. It's not very costly and well worth it. Our circle chart again. This time we're focusing on home buying. Step 1, determine what you need in a home. Step 2, find and evaluate properties that meet your needs and finances. Step 3, price the property. Step 4, obtain financing. Step 5, close the purchase. We'll walk through each of these steps on the following slides. The first step is, of course, be sure home ownership is for you. Clearly, owning your own home is the so-called American dream, but that doesn't mean it's right for you or that this is the right time for you. Home ownership does provide stability, and there are clearly financial benefits. Property taxes and mortgage interest are tax deductible. You're building equity in your home. Hopefully, the value of your home will increase over time. Now, since the housing bubble burst, real estate values have not been increasing as they did for many years. Owning your own home gives you a great amount of flexibility. Paint your home almost any color, change the inside or outside to fit your needs. On the downside, in Chapter 5, we talked about credit scores and the importance of maintaining a good credit rating. This is never more important than when buying a home. A home is a huge financial commitment on your part and on that of the lender. There's a lot of money involved. A strong credit score will make finding financing at a good rate much easier. Realtors will advise you to be pre-approved up to a certain amount before you start your home search. This makes it easier to zero in on homes that fit your needs and are in your price range. The big caveat, home values can and have dropped, in some areas significantly. Consider, a home is not a liquid asset. It can take time to sell a house, longer if the market is weak. Finally, your living costs will be higher. You have maintenance, repairs, improvements, and all those new items you'll need for your new home. And real estate taxes do tend to rise as municipalities need more money to support development. In selecting a home to buy, we usually think of a single-family dwelling, but there are other options. A duplex or townhouse with 2 to 4 or 6 units may be a good option. Consider that buying a duplex, living in one side and renting out the other, could provide income to offset your mortgage payments. A condominium is another option. We think of condos as a type of building, but it's not. It's a form of ownership. With a condo, you own your structure, but the common areas are jointly owned. You'll have a monthly or quarterly condo fee to cover upkeep of these common areas, which could include a clubhouse, pool, tennis courts, as well as the entrance and the streets. Cooperative housing is not an arrangement we see in the South much, but it's quite common in New York City. The building is owned by an organization. You buy shares in the organization for the right to live in a unit. Manufactured homes come either fully or partially assembled and are finished on site. The costs are much lower than standard construction since so much is mass-produced. Mobile homes are another option. Mobile homes have come a long way from the low-end units of the past, and many mobile homes today have all the amenities of a home and can be quite luxurious. The downside is they do tend to depreciate rather than appreciate. And in this area of the country, mobile home parks seem to be a magnet for tornadoes, so safety is an issue. At the top end of the home buying ladder, you could opt to have a custom home built to your specifications. This is a major commitment. First, you need to find a lot. Then you'll need an architect to help you design your home, working with you to make your dream house into a workable design that fits the lot. You'll need a reputable and reliable contractor to handle all the subcontractors, electricians, plumbers, carpenters, etc. Even with an excellent general contractor, it's wise to plan on being at the site every day to make sure everything is going according to plan, on schedule, and on budget. Remember, when building a custom home, you have to choose everything. Cabinets, appliances, door hardware, cabinet pulls, the smallest details are up to you. Having a really good general contractor is the key to keeping the stress down when building a home. Take the time to find a reputable one. Check references. Be clear on payment arrangements, what delays are expected and would be legitimate. Before you begin, your contractor should provide you with a detailed time schedule, cost estimates, payment schedule, and a description of exactly what work will be done. Before you even start looking at homes, consider, what can you afford? How much do you have for a down payment? Have you been pre-qualified for a mortgage? What trade-offs are you willing to make? Do you have to have granite countertops in the kitchen? Are 4 bedrooms the absolute minimum? Be realistic about what you want versus what you can afford. Buy all the house you can afford, but just what you can afford. The key is to get in that first house, and then you can trade up. If you have the skills, a fixer-upper could be an option. Sweat equity can buy a lot of house. This could be as little as being willing to repaint and refinish floors. It could be as much as an HGTV fixer-upper show where walls come down and the home is totally reworked. Be realistic about your skill and the time you have to devote to it. On to step 2, finding a home. As any realtor will tell you, the most important is location, location, location. It is the primary key to home value and the one thing you cannot change. It's why people buy old, small houses in a great neighborhood, tear them down, and build their dream homes. They were buying the location. Of course, it's possible to buy a home without enlisting the help of a realtor, but doing so will make the whole process so much easier. A realtor can filter the homes available in the area based on criteria you specify: area, size, number of bedrooms, garage, pool or no pool, school district, price range, whatever is important to you. This will save you a lot of time by only looking at homes that meet your criteria. A realtor can help you negotiate the price, present your offer to the seller's agent, help you obtain financing if you're not already pre-approved, and even represent you at the closing. For this, they earn a fee based on the selling price, which is paid by the seller. Even when buying a new construction home, a home inspection is a good idea. What will be covered is shown in the chart on the next slide. Your mortgage company will require an appraisal before they grant a loan, and you'll pay for the appraisal. An appraisal will come back with an estimated value, in dollars, of the home you're considering, based on the home itself and comparables in the area. A home inspection is concerned with the physical condition of the property. Is it up to code in all elements? Electrical, plumbing, HVAC, roof, no foundation issues. The inspection will come back with recommendations on anything that needs to be repaired. This tends to be more critical with older homes, where issues may be hidden in the walls, attic, and foundation. We're up to step 3, pricing the property you've chosen. The seller has set an asking price, but that doesn't have to be what you pay. Factors that may affect what the seller is willing to take. What are other houses in the area selling for? What are the comparables? Is the current housing market hot or weak? How long has the house been for sale? Does the owner have a need to sell? Are they being transferred? What is the condition of the home? If a lot of work is needed to bring it up to code, negotiate a lower price. Negotiation and counter offers are common. When you're serious about a home, you may put up what's called earnest money as evidence of your good faith and serious interest in reaching a deal. If your purchase is contingent on the sale of your current home or on obtaining financing, this may affect your negotiation ability and your attractiveness to the seller. Step 4, obtain financing. If you've already been pre-approved for a certain amount, you're ahead of the game at this point. If not, then here are your next steps. How much can you put as a down payment? If you put up less than 20%, you'll have to pay private mortgage insurance, PMI, on the loan until your equity is equal to or greater than 22% of the home's value. Mortgages are long-term loans, but the length is, to a great extent, up to you. Shorter term, lower rate, but higher monthly payment. Mortgages are typically 15, 25, or 30 years, and usually longer on the first house. Your realtor may suggest a lender that they've worked with successfully in the past. This is where your credit report is crucial. 3 main phases. Complete an application. A lender will require a complete statement of net worth, as we covered in Chapter 2. They'll also verify your income and employment and request a credit report. Once approved, your rate is usually locked in for up to 90 days to allow you time to find and buy a home. As mentioned, you'll have to provide a net worth statement to your lender. The amount of your down payment and the length of the loan you want will affect the rate you're quoted. It's possible you'll need to pay points, basically a percentage of the loan amount paid up front, in order to obtain a lower rate. We're going to work through some examples of figuring out how much house you can afford and what your mortgage payment will be. It should be obvious, when mortgage rates are lower, you can afford more house. This is Exhibit 7.7 in your textbook. It walks through finding the amount of your mortgage payment using an algebraic formula, financial calculator, and Excel. We'll focus on using the calculator and Excel since these are the methods you would typically use. Realize that the payment amount you calculate is only the PI of your total PITI. PI is principal and interest, TI is taxes and insurance. Taxes and insurance are part of your monthly mortgage payment. The lender puts these into an escrow account and uses the funds to pay your insurance premiums and city and county taxes when due. In this example, the mortgage amount is $223,000 for 30 years at 7%. The factor corresponding to that rate in term in the table directly above this exhibit in your text is $6.65. This means you'll pay $6.65 per month per $1,000 borrowed, $1,482.95. Here's the background data for our example. Gross annual income, $52,000. Down payment on a house, $24,000. Your lender will allow a maximum of 38% for PI and TI. Other debts per month, $540. Estimated tax and insurance, $480. Your mortgage will be a 30-year mortgage at 4.5%. You do not want to pay private mortgage insurance, so you'd like to finance 80% of the house. Question: how much house can you afford? We'll go through this step by step and then look at it in Excel. Convert your annual income to monthly. 52,000 divided by 12 is 4,333.33. Step 2, multiply this by 38%, $1,646.67. Step 3, subtract debt payments and estimated tax and insurance. You get $626.67. This is what you can afford as a monthly mortgage payment, the PI part. Step 4, use the mortgage factor for 30 years, 4.5% from the table in your text. The factor is 5.07. You divide by that and get $123,679.66. Step 5, consider your down payment to determine how much house you can afford. $123,679.66 divided by 80%, $154,599.57. Putting the problem into Excel, we have all the given data at the top. Below left shows the calculation of your affordable monthly payment of $626.67. Below right, use the time value of money keys on a financial calculator to find the total amount you can borrow. N is equal to 30 years times 12 months or 360 periods. IY is 4.5% divided by 12 to get a monthly rate. PV is your solution variable. Payment, PMT, is minus $626.67. Negative, it's an outflow from you. Future value is 0. You'll pay the mortgage down to 0. Solve for present value, and you get the $123,679.66 we got before. Divide that by 80. We're back where we were. $154,599.57. So far, we've focused on fixed-rate, fixed-payment mortgages, which are the most common, but there are variations. As the name implied with a fixed rate, the rate's fixed for the life of the loan, as is the payment amount, the PI part. Taxes and insurance can change. There are a variety of government-guaranteed financing programs. The VA offers home loan financing for veterans without any down payment. FHA insures loans for low- and middle-income people meeting certain down payment criteria. Adjustable rate mortgages have been very popular with first-time home buyers who take advantage of the lower initial rates to get into their first home. ARMs typically have a rate cap that limits how much the rate can change and a payment cap that limits how much the payment can change. Frequently, ARMs allow conversion to a fixed-rate conventional mortgage in the future, but an issue can occur called negative amortization. When the mortgage payments do not rise but interest rates do, the amount owed can increase such that the payment doesn't even cover the interest owed. The difference is added to the loan balance, meaning home equity is declining rather than increasing. An interest-only loan means just what it says. During the first years of the loan, the buyer only pays the interest on the loan. The loan balance is not decreasing. At some point, the buyer will have to refinance at current market rates. A buy-down is basically a subsidy, usually offered by a builder or developer to entice buyers. Payments are reduced during the first few years of a mortgage. It's aimed at buyers who cannot qualify for conventional loans. A second mortgage is also called a home equity loan. We've talked about these previously. Your home is collateral on the loans. It should only be used for major purchases. The home equity name implies these are meant to be used for home improvements to increase the value of your home. They can, however, be used for anything. Pay off major debts, buy a car, take a vacation. The interest is tax deductible. We see a lot on TV about reverse mortgages. The latest I've seen is Tom Selleck. They're also known as home equity conversion mortgages. They're available to homeowners 62 or older, provide tax-free income as a loan. The loan is repaid when the homeowners move or die. Refinancing. With all the rate changes in recent years, many have refinanced their original home loans at more attractive rates. The key decision criteria is the rate decrease and the decrease in the monthly payment enough to offset the cost of refinancing? Loan application fees, points, appraisal, closing costs. One of the easiest ways to reduce the term of your loan and reduce the amount of interest paid is to make extra payments. You'll see this demonstrated in Project B. Step 5, closing the purchase. Definitely arrange for a final walkthrough to make sure everything is in order before you sign. At the closing, you will sign a ton of paperwork. Typically, the buyer, seller, and lender will be represented at the closing. This is the place to settle all last-minute details. Closing costs are also called settlement costs. We'll look at them in more depth on the next slide. The Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act requires that you be provided with an estimate of closing costs you will be required to pay prior to the actual closing, so there are no surprises. Whoa, here's a list of items you can expect to see on the closing statement. Title insurance and search fee to ensure a clean title. Attorneys and appraisers fees. Property survey if it's required. Pest inspection, it is required in most states. Recording fees, transfer taxes, credit report, lender's origination fee, escrow account for tax and insurance reserve. The amount depends on when you close versus the end of the month. Prepaid interest, same as taxes and insurance. The real estate broker's commission paid by the seller. The closing estimate will clearly highlight what the seller pays and what the buyer is expected to pay at the closing. This breaks down 3 of the closing components a bit further. Title insurance is meant to protect your claim against the property. The deed officially registers you as the owner of the property. A warranty deed guarantees, as the slide says, that the seller is the true owner with the right to transfer the property to you and that there are no outstanding claims against the property. Your escrow account is where money is deposited to pay your annual insurance and taxes. At the end of each year, your lender will analyze your escrow account as to overage or deficit and potentially adjust your monthly payment. Our final learning objectives covers how to get your home ready to sell when the time comes. Well, pretty obviously, repair, paint, and clean everything. If repainting, neutral colors. You may love your bright blue room, but not all home buyers will, and many of them do not have the ability to visualize changes. Reduce the clutter. Move things to a storage unit if you have to, but get them out of the way. You want your home to look as big as possible. Make your home look as much like a model home as you can. If you need professional help, ask your realtor about a stager who'll come in and actually stage your home for an open house. If you're listing your home with a realtor, they'll help you determine a listing price in the same way they helped determine an offer price when you were buying, looking at a professional appraisal and looking at comparables. You can sell your home yourself for sale by owner, but you really should enlist an attorney to handle the closing. There's too much money involved to take a chance on anything being amiss. Listing with a realtor does commit you to paying a commission, but it can be well worth it for the expertise, marketing, and buyer screening services provided. This concludes Chapter 7. As with the previous chapters, I won't talk through the chapter summary again, but the chapter summary does recap all the main topics from the chapter. The 5 stages of home buying, costs associated with buying a house, and selling a house.